If you're a man over 40 and you've noticed more hair on your pillow, more hair in the shower drain, or your hairline creeping back a little further every year, stop blaming your genetics. Stop blaming stress. Stop blaming your father's bald head like it's some unstoppable curse written into your DNA, because in most cases, that's not the real reason. There is one silent deficiency hiding inside millions of men's bodies right now, and it is quietly shutting down your hair follicles from the inside out. Doctors rarely test for it during a routine checkup. Most men never even hear about it until their hair is already gone. And by the time you notice the bald patches in the mirror, this deficiency has already been working against you for years, sometimes an entire decade, without you knowing it existed. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what this deficiency is, why it hits men so hard after 40, why it's almost never caught in time, and how you can start reversing it starting today, before it's too late to bring those follicles back to life. Let me introduce you to Robert. 52 years old, a construction supervisor from Ohio, married for 26 years, father of 2 grown sons. 2 years ago, Robert had a full head of hair. Thick, healthy, no signs of thinning, the kind of hair most men his age would envy. Then something changed. Slowly at first, a little more hair in his comb every morning, a little more collecting around the shower drain. He brushed it off as normal aging, the kind of thing that just happens to men in their 50s. But within 18 months, his hairline had receded so much that his own wife didn't recognize him in old vacation photos from just 3 years earlier. Robert tried everything the internet told him to try. Expensive shampoos that promised to reactivate dormant follicles, biotin gummies by the bottle, even a hair growth serum that cost him almost $200 a month, money he pulled from his and his wife's savings because he was desperate enough to try anything. Nothing worked. His hairline kept retreating. His confidence kept shrinking along with it. Then, almost by accident, his doctor finally ran a full blood panel during an unrelated visit for joint pain and found it. His body was critically low in one specific nutrient, not biotin, which is what every hair supplement on the market pushes, not protein, which every fitness influencer talks about. Something far more overlooked, something that almost never gets tested unless a doctor specifically thinks to look for it. Within 4 months of correcting this one deficiency, Robert's hair loss didn't just stop. It started growing back in patches that had been visibly bald for over a year. His barber was the one who first pointed it out, running his fingers through Robert's crown and saying, "I haven't seen this kind of regrowth in a man your age in a long time." So what is this deficiency? It's vitamin D, but not the way most people think about vitamin D. Everyone knows vitamin D is good for bones. Every commercial, every pharmacy aisle, every doctor's passing comment ties vitamin D to bone density and nothing else. What almost nobody knows, including most general practitioners, is that vitamin D receptors sit directly inside your hair follicles. These receptors are what tell your follicles to stay in the growth phase, called anagen, instead of shutting down and falling into the resting and shedding phase, called telogen. When vitamin D levels drop, which happens naturally as men age, spend more time indoors at desk jobs, and produce less vitamin D through their skin due to thinning skin layers and reduced enzyme activity, those follicle receptors stop getting the signal they need to keep functioning. The follicle doesn't die immediately. That's the tricky part. It goes dormant. It shrinks in size, called miniaturization, and it slowly stops producing new hair strands, which is exactly why hair loss after 40 often feels sudden and dramatic, even though the underlying deficiency has been quietly building for years, sometimes since a man's early 30s. Here's what makes this even more dangerous for men specifically, and why this deficiency hits harder after 40 than at any other point in a man's life. After age 40, your skin becomes significantly less efficient at converting sunlight into usable vitamin D. Some research suggests up to 50% less efficient compared to your 20s, because the skin layer responsible for this conversion, called the epidermis, naturally thins with age. At the exact same time, testosterone in the body naturally starts converting into a byproduct hormone called DHT, dihydrotestosterone, which independently attacks hair follicles by binding to receptors and shrinking them over time. When low vitamin D and rising DHT happen simultaneously, which is almost guaranteed to happen somewhere in a man's 40s, they don't just add up, they accelerate each other in a vicious cycle. Low vitamin D weakens the follicle's ability to resist DHT's damaging effects, and DHT further disrupts the vitamin D receptor pathway inside the follicle. Your follicles are being attacked from two directions at once, and most men have absolutely no idea this dual attack is happening until the visible damage shows up in the mirror, in old photographs, or in comments from people who haven't seen them in a while. What's even more concerning is how many other systems in your body vitamin D touches, and how those symptoms are often dismissed as just getting older, instead of being connected back to the same root cause as your hair loss. Low vitamin D has been linked to fatigue that doesn't go away no matter how much sleep you get. It's been linked to joint aches, particularly in the knees and lower back. It's been linked to low mood and what many men describe as a general sense of mental fog, especially during winter months when sunlight exposure drops dramatically. If any of these symptoms sound familiar alongside your hair thinning, that's not a coincidence. It's your body sending multiple signals from the same underlying deficiency. And most men, and frankly most doctors, treat each symptom separately instead of connecting the dots back to one root cause. Now let's talk about how you can check this yourself, right now, sitting exactly where you are, without spending a single dollar. Sit down and answer these questions honestly, because self-awareness is the first step before any blood test. Number 1, do you spend most of your day indoors, whether at a desk job, in a car commuting, or at home, with limited direct sunlight actually touching your skin? Number 2, have you noticed hair thinning specifically at the crown or the front hairline, rather than all over your scalp evenly, which is a classic pattern of hormone and follicle receptor involvement rather than simple aging? Number 3, do you often feel unusually tired even after a full night's sleep, achy in your joints without any injury, or notice your mood dipping, especially as the days get shorter? Number 4, has it been more than 2 years, or possibly ever, since a doctor specifically tested your vitamin D blood levels, as opposed to just a general checkup? If you answered yes to 2 or more of these, there is a strong chance your vitamin D levels are already low enough to be actively affecting your hair follicles right now, and it's time to take this seriously, instead of waiting for the mirror to confirm it for you. The good news, and this is genuinely good news, is that vitamin D deficiency is one of the easiest and most affordable deficiencies to correct in the entire body, if you catch it in time and give your follicles a real chance to recover before they miniaturize beyond the point of return. The first step is getting 15 to 20 minutes of direct sunlight on bare skin, ideally in the morning between 8 and 10 a.m., without sunscreen blocking the UVB rays your skin needs for that conversion process to happen. This doesn't mean sunbathing for hours or risking sunburn. It means consistent, moderate, daily exposure that your body can actually use. The second step is deliberately adding vitamin D3 rich foods into your daily meals, rather than hoping you get enough by accident. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. Egg yolks, which are one of the few whole foods naturally rich in D3. Fortified dairy products and fortified plant milks if you're not a big dairy drinker. The third and most important step, especially for men over 40 who may already be dealing with years of accumulated deficiency, is getting your vitamin D blood levels actually tested through a simple 25-hydroxy vitamin D blood test, because sunlight and diet alone are often not enough once a deficiency has already set in. At that point, supplementation under a doctor's guidance, with the correct dosage based on your actual blood levels, may be necessary to bring your follicles back into their growth phase rather than leaving them stuck in dormancy. It's also worth understanding what not to do, because this is where a lot of men waste time and money chasing the wrong solution. Randomly taking a vitamin D supplement without knowing your actual blood levels can be just as unhelpful as taking none at all, because too little won't move the needle, and megadosing without guidance can create its own set of problems. Spending money on topical hair serums and expensive shampoos while ignoring the internal deficiency is treating the symptom while completely ignoring the cause, which is exactly what Robert did for over a year before his blood test finally revealed the truth. And assuming that hair loss after 40 is simply genetic and therefore untreatable stops far too many men from ever getting tested in the first place, when in reality, genetics often only explain part of the story, and correctable deficiencies like this one explain far more than most men realize. Robert's transformation wasn't magic, and it wasn't some miracle product he stumbled onto. It was simply giving his hair follicles the one biological signal they had been missing for years, restoring his vitamin D to a healthy range, and allowing his follicles, which were dormant but not dead, to re-enter their natural growth cycle. His crown, once visibly thin enough that he avoided certain lighting in photos, filled back in over the course of about 6 months. His energy came back too, something he hadn't expected but wasn't surprised by once his doctor explained the connection. And the truth is, thousands of men exactly like Robert are walking around right now blaming their bald spots on bad genes and bad luck, when the real cause has been sitting quietly in their blood work the entire time, completely untested and completely correctable. If this video opened your eyes even a little, do one simple thing before you close this tab or scroll to the next video. Schedule a vitamin D blood test with your doctor. It's a simple, inexpensive blood draw, and the results could genuinely be the difference between watching your hairline disappear year after year or catching this deficiency early enough to give your follicles the chance to recover the way Robert's did. Don't wait until the bald spot is undeniable in the mirror. Don't wait until your own family doesn't recognize you in old photos. Get tested, get the facts about your own body, and take action while your follicles still have the chance to respond. Subscribe to this channel because next week I'm breaking down the second silent deficiency that's aging men faster than they realize. One that most doctors never mention either, and one that's connected to everything from low energy to slowing metabolism after 40. If this video helped you understand something about your own health today, hit the like button, drop a comment letting me know if you've ever had your vitamin D levels checked, and share this with a man in your life who's been quietly worried about his hairline. Taking care of yourself starts with knowing what's actually happening inside your body. And now, you know one thing that most men never find out until it's too late.